everybody. So I get a lot of questions about watches for people with smaller wrists or, buying gifts for their wives. I give a lot of watches I buy and review here to my wife. So I kind of wanted to just show, with holiday seasons coming up, Black Friday, all that kind of stuff, watches for people with smaller wrists. So first off, this is the most recent watch I reviewed. This is the Addiesdive 36 millimeter, Oyster Perpetual type watch. This is her new favorite watch. This watch can get real small link-wise, which I'll show you shortly, is an issue with some watches. But for a 36 millimeter watch, this is, I think, the perfect 36. I think is a perfect sweet spot for people with small wrists, women, children, people who can't. I think I've seen women wearing Submariners, and I think it's dope, but not all people are comfortable with that size. So if you're not, 36 millimeter, I think, is the sweet spot for you. So this is 36 millimeters. It's a very light watch. It's 108 grams. They say it's suitable for wrists 13 to 18 centimeters. Sure. I think that's more to do with the link sizing, but it is a thin watch also. It's 12 millimeters. And it's a quartz watch, so if you're giving it to somebody who isn't completely obsessed with watches or doesn't really know what they want to do in the watch world yet, this is a very safe entry point. You can get this for probably around $60, probably even a little less coming up in some of the sales. So this is a great starting point, and tons of colorways too, so you could find the perfect watch for their personality. So that is watch one. The second watch I want to highlight is the Pagani, presidential day date. First off the bat, this is another 36 millimeter watch, but look at compared to this previous one. Look how much smaller this bracelet can get compared to the Pagani. It's hard to see, but there's a significant size difference, especially on that side. Due to these presidential style links, that is every removable link taken out and the smallest micro adjusts. So this watch is good for people with smaller wrists, but it does not get as small as we needed it. So it does hang a little bit extra, and there's not much we can do about it. But this is another great watch for gifting for people with smaller wrists who are interested in watches. You can get this under $90. Also a ton of different colorways, and this is a mechanical watch, and it's a little more complicated. You have the date and the day. So if you're giving it to somebody who is somewhat into watches or slowly starting to understand how the watch world works, this is a cool piece because you can kind of teach them about what the Rolex represents, that this is kind of copying, and all that kind of history behind, your presidential, your day dates, and get them kind of addicted to watches through this. So this, I think, is the second great piece to get, and check out the Pagani day date presidential. Next up, we have this fun little Baltany. This is their 1926 military style vintage looking watch. This is also a 36 millimeter watch, but this is also in a cushion case, so it does wear slightly larger. The thing with this watch, though, it is a little bit, I don't want to say strange, but it's definitely a little bit more a watch for somebody who's looking for this kind of style. I don't think everyone's going to be able to pull this off or love this or see the value in it. It is a quartz watch, so it's another watch that you can get fairly cheap. This watch, though, I'm seeing them on AliExpress these days for a little over $100, under $110. That is expensive for a quartz watch, but I do think that you're getting a really cool piece. This is a little dressier than the other two. I guess you could argue that a presidential is a fairly dressy watch, but on the leather, this does make it a little dressier, and it also gives you infinite size adjustments. So if the person does have a smaller wrist, or they're not really sure what size they want yet, want to try loose, want to try a little tighter, leather is a good option. This watch is a good option for that. It is a little pricier, but I do think it is a cool piece to add to a collection of somebody who kind of knows what they like watch-wise, but isn't totally sure. I wouldn't get this completely unprompted for somebody who's just looking for a watch. It is kind of a niche look, but I do think if the person is in, expressed that they like this style watch, a vintage looking cream dialed military fueled, whatever you want to call it, watch, then yeah, sure, grab this, and I think it'll be really great on a small wrist. Finally, we have a watch that you guys know is one of my favorites. This is the Tandorio. This is an automatic watch. It is, I think, the cheapest out of all of the ones I've shown so far. This one you can get also right around $60, but this is also on a rubber bracelet, rubber strap that is infinitely adjustable. You can make this thing very small if you had to. You could even attach it only onto this side because there's holes everywhere. This watch, I think, is a great entry point for somebody with a small wrist. This is 1 millimeter bigger. This one's 37, but I think it does wear very true to the size. Some of the other ones don't really have bezels, so it feels a little bigger, but I think this is a cool entry point to a slightly larger watch, but a watch that can take a beating. I would say this watch out of the 4 that I've shown you can take the biggest beating, and that's potentially good for if you're giving this to somebody with a smaller wrist who is a child or someone else in that ballpark who doesn't really know what they want wrist size wise, but they want to test some things out. This is a great choice. And also, just as a secondary accolade or runner-up, the little Casio. You saw my review on this recently. This watch wears small, but it is incredibly popular and it is incredibly cheap. So this may also be a great starting point for you. Everyone should have one of these, so maybe just get one anyway. But this is also you can see, size-wise, they don't really look massively different, especially since it's squared and this is round. But I think it's a cool opportunity to get somebody a little quirkier, and if they hate it, you wasted $20 on it. So check out all of these. Here's the full collection coming into screen, just so you could see everything. What do you guys think about all those? Let me know. I think they're all stunning. I'm happy to have all of them, and my wife is happy to have all of them. But they're really cool pieces, and I hope you can get a lot of them for your family members this coming holiday season.